everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Houston, so I decided to come to this park to do a tarot reading. I like to use the tarot as a meditative tool. It helps me to see things in a different perspective. It helps keep me grounded and mindful, and it helps me work through inner and outer conflict. If you are having a hard time dealing with everything that's going on and you're looking for a meditative practice to try, then I invite you to try the tarot. If you don't have a tarot deck, that's okay. You can make one. Index cards would work really well, or all you need to do is find some paper that is slightly thicker than printer paper, cut it into 78 equal-sized rectangles, and look up a list of the tarot cards and just write down the name of each card. Don't worry about symbols and colors and drawings. Visually, everything you need can be found online. You just need a deck that you can physically touch and shuffle and draw energy to. Shuffling your cards is the most important part when you're doing a reading. It's during that time you create a connection with the cards. While you're shuffling, you draw all of your focus into your question or into the insight you're looking for. If you have too many thoughts running around your mind and you can't focus, then you're not going to get a very good reading because the answer may not reflect your true question. Shuffle as long as you need to. Sometimes cards will flip out of a shuffle. On a personal level, that doesn't happen to me very often. So when it does, I make a note of it. Once you feel good about the position of the cards, then cut the deck. The reading I decided to do in this video was from my 2020 Biddy Tarot Planner, and it's the March 24th new moon in Aries. There are 6 questions associated with this reading. The card I pulled for this question is the Queen of Wands. In a general context, the Queen of Wands can represent courage, determination, pursuing a creative vision, and expressing the shadow self. The card I pulled for this question is the Emperor in reverse. In a general context, the Emperor in reverse can represent the role of power, negatively or positively, leadership, and stability. The card I pulled for this question is the Seven of Swords in reverse. In a general context, the Seven of Swords in reverse can indicate inner deceit, imposter syndrome, confession, a change of luck, and stealth. The card I pulled for this question is the Seven of Wands. In a general context, this card represents defending a position, challenges arising from success, perseverance, and non-conformity. The card I pulled for this question is the Knight of Cups in reverse. In a general context, this card can represent being overly emotional, a disconnection from reality, and a need to communicate. The card I pulled for this question is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. In a general context, this card can represent patience or a need for patience, investing time wisely, and scattered efforts or yielding a reward for efforts. If you recall, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse sort of flipped out of the deck and made itself visible. This card can represent a feeling of moving backwards or the need to revisit a previous challenge. In the upright and reverse position, this card indicates unpredictable life events and going with the flow of whatever arises. I'm not going to go into all of the details of every card and how they may correlate to one another, mostly because this is a personal reading. This doesn't reflect anything that's going on with anyone else. I do, however, want to point out some interesting things about this reading. First, I find it very interesting that I pulled the Emperor in an Aries-based reading. The Emperor reflects the Aries zodiac sign. To me, that represents the answer to the question where I pulled this card is amplified and needs more attention. Another thing I want to point out is how a lot of these cards seem to be looking at each other. The Queen is looking at the Emperor. The Seven of Swords is looking at the Emperor. The Seven of Wands is facing the Knight of Cups. The Seven of Pentacles is looking down at the Seven of Swords. Things like that give deeper meanings to the cards collectively rather than individually. The last thing that I thought was really interesting is how I pulled 3 7 cards. This one is particularly interesting because that's a lot of sevens. Because the number 7 comes up 3 times, it makes me think of the 7th card in the tarot, which is the Chariot. One of my tarot birth cards is actually the Chariot. Based on what I know about the Chariot and the number 7, these cards bring a depth of positivity to this reading. The Chariot can represent determination and overcoming obstacles. So these cards that might have some negative connotations make me think that I will work on them and be able to overcome what's challenging me. Don't feel overwhelmed by this reading I've presented to you. Even now, about 2 years after working with the tarot cards, I still don't have a great grasp on how the cards work and communicate to each other. There are 2 one-card spreads that I still like to practice very regularly, and they are good stepping stones as introductions into the tarot. Those are a daily card reading and an advice card. A daily card reading will give you an idea of the tone of the day, or it may represent a feeling or a reaction you may encounter. A single card advice reading will often provide insight that was overlooked or hidden. For a daily card reading, it's as simple as shuffling the cards and asking, what can be expected of the day, or what is the tone of the day going to be like. In an advice reading, you want to put all of the focus into shuffling the cards. Think about what your problem is or what kind of advice you're seeking, and look to the cards for guidance. Once you feel ready, then cut the deck and draw a card. Before you look up the meaning behind the card, take that moment, that first moment when you see the card, to think about what it represents as a first impression to you. For my daily card reading for March 25th, I pulled the 10 of Wands. My first impression of this card is that it looks like someone carrying a burden. Other interpretations of this card are someone who is hardworking, someone who may be overloaded with responsibilities, needs to find time to relax and recoup. Like so many things in life, it is a temporary burden to bear. The number 10 indicates a completed cycle. I found early on in some of my readings, when I thought I was having a negative reading, I didn't want to practice the tarot or try to decipher what was being presented to me. If the negative aspect of a card in a reading resonates with you most, then that is the perfect opportunity to see what you need to work on and improve on and release and overcome. Like I said, I have enjoyed working with the tarot as a meditative practice. It's been a great tool for learning about myself and thinking about things in different ways. In the description of this video, I noted some tarot sites that I like to use regularly. My recommendation is to check out multiple tarot sites to see what descriptions resonate with you most. The goal of that is to allow yourself to get a feel of what really resonates, not your ego. You're not looking for the answer that comforts you. You're looking for the guidance and answers that resonate with you. And those are the sites that you want to keep visiting. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, entertaining, inspiring, and helpful.